and he's someone who I've been getting to know over the last few months, and I don't even know where to start with introducing him. He's a mentor, he's a teacher, he's a martial artist, so many things, and we've been hanging out for a little over a half hour, just kind of preparing to go live, and then he started talking about some really interesting stuff, and I thought, you know what, let's just jump into this live stream. So here we are. Thank you for joining us, Hector. I was thinking about like what kind of questions should I ask you, and I've got some things, but you were just talking about how did you put it? Yasod or something like that?
Yes.
And I thought, man, this is so rich. Why don't we go live? So how about we just jump into that? What were you talking about the Yasod stuff?
So for all the listeners, I'm going to give you a little bit of a quick background. And the background goes like this. There is I don't want to call it a theology. Let's just say there's a story. It's the best way for me to tell you. And the story goes that in the beginning of creation, when the Bible starts, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and the Spirit moved upon the face of the deep. It means the face of chaos. And so why does it start there? Because there were 7 worlds prior to that failed. They failed in the fact that they didn't have the one essential that makes us humans. The reason why we are the apex predator of this universe, of this existence, is because of this one thing. What is the one thing? Well, the one thing is compassion, to be able to desire good and love for somebody else. Giving for the reason of just giving, not for the reason of receiving. Okay? So that's a bit of the background. It's, we could talk about that for a long time. But according to this theory, this ideology, last Friday, we started counting down the 7 worlds of creation to lead to the 8th world, which is us. Okay? So each day has a theme, each day has a meditation, and each day has a power for you to manage and control within you, which equal the 7 days of creation, or the 7 days of the week, or the 7 chords of your vocal cord, or the 7 chakras, or the 7 layers, right? We could just go on 7, 7, 7, 7. So it's all, they're all, what do you call that? Fractals of each other. And all of them are how I perceive me internally is how I'm going to express it. And how I express it is the experience that's going to come back to me. Does that make sense so far?
I mean, I'm interpreting it, and there's so much to unpack there.
There is,
so
right?
It is making sense, but I'm sure that the meaning, the layers of meaning in your mind are different than what I'm hearing, because it's new information to me. It actually reminds me of when I did a tour of Chichen Itza, close to where I live, which is like this incredible temple, and it's all based on the number 7, and we've got like I think 7 holes in. I don't know. 7. The number 7 is throughout creation, throughout existence, and so this
right here, 2, 4, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7.
Right. I was going to say that, and then as I was saying that, I was like, that sounds weird. Like it's holes in our skull or something like that. Yeah. And so this is a process that just kicked off the other day, you're saying, and then it's like a 7-day.
Yeah, last Friday, and it ends tomorrow. Okay. So today we're in the realm and the dimension of Yesod. So Yesod is the last level, the 6th level, and this is why man is considered to be 6, is the edge of metaphysics before things manifest. Okay. Think of the seminal energy coming out, right? The moment that it leaves, it takes on a totally different nature, and it begins to expand and go in different direction, but it has all the creative power, and it's looking for somewhere to hit and connect and boom and grow the seed of life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is where we're at. We're at the very edge. And that's why it represents the sexual energies. It represents the desire to have money and the desire for knowledge. All three of them have a good side and a bad side.
Mm-hmm.
So when creation begins in the Hebrew language, there's there is a language that's being used that you can't read it in any other language other than Hebrew. It's tohu vavohu, and one is chaos and the other one's good.
Mm.
It doesn't mean evil and good. It means order
Yes.
and disorder.
Order and order
Disorder.
and order. Disorder and order.
Okay.
Yeah.
So take a tree.
Mm-hmm.
You put shit on the tree at the bottom. It
Mm-hmm.
transmutates that, and now we call it fertilizer.
Yeah.
And it takes it into its roots and it does something with the power of the sun, and it adds it to its leaves, and it adds and it creates fruit so that it gives you life.
Mm-hmm.
Man is the same way. The things that happen to you in life, they're not bad. It is fertilizer for you
Mm.
to come up and produce the shade that people say, I like you, man. I just want to hang out. I don't know what it is, but you know what? You make me think in a different way. That's adding
Mm-hmm.
shade. You
Mm-hmm.
know what? The thing that you said to me is stuck with me. That one, and you might say, well, I don't know what I said. That's like taking a leaf and making tea from it.
Mm.
Because now you
Yeah.
can sit back and sip on the tea. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then the last level would be to add a fruit. So that thing that you taught me at one time, it gave me so much benefit, man. I was kind of lacking in, my level of skill in this area that I wanted to grow. And now I see the results. I got more clients, I got more customers, I got better relationships just because of those tips that you gave me. That's fruit.
That's fruit. Nice.
And then there's another layer is the seed inside the fruit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also what comes to mind is the fruit decomposes and returns to, it's not fertilized. Well, it kind of is fertilizer. It becomes that rich soil that kind of is part of the cycle again.
Correct. One thing that stuck with me when I was a little kid, I remember, I think I was in eighth grade, and the teacher said this: the reason why trees create fruit is because it stores energy for itself for later. I'm like, huh? Really? I just assume it was true. My
Uh-huh.
point is, you can see how fruit creates something that's good for us, but when it falls, it doesn't go to waste.
Right. Yeah,
So
but I think from the tree's perspective is the something eats the seed and then travels and then what's the word? What's the polite word?
yes,
Defecate or
that's
whatever. Like
defecate.
drops the seed
Yeah,
it elsewhere, and then that plants, and so that allows that tree to spread to
correct,
travel
correct,
to cover ground.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's either an animal that walks or it's an animal that flies, and the birds of from heaven find rest upon the branches of you and take the seed to another place unknown to that tree, and it duplicates itself somewhere else.
Mhm.
That's pretty powerful stuff, right?
It's crazy how the whole system works when you really think about it. It's something that I don't think about a lot. I think probably most people don't, but it's so magical the way it's all connected.
It really is, and this is why so let me put the whole thing together, okay? So why now? Why Friday and not a week ago or a week from now? It's
Hmm.
because according to, so in order to make some more sense, people are like, well, what the heck are you talking about? So I am of Hebrew descent or Jewish, and I practice, and when I say I practice, what I mean is I am a practitioner of a concept that is known as receiving. The word for that, some people know it as Kabbalah. What this means is that there's a specific Spanish style of philosophy and mixed with theology, and we live to do a practical application. Rather than to separate yourself from one thing, you make everything united as one. Okay? So that's what Kabbalah is. And it closely resembles or closely parallels the Jewish religious organization that we know as Jews and Israel. Okay? But there's significant differences. As a small perspective. But anyways, what's coming on October 2nd over to the 3rd is the day in which creation began. Which creation? The 8th creation. So we're switching from the year of 5784 into the year 5785.
Okay.
At that time, we all present ourselves before the courts of heaven. Okay? And so, all right, I'll go a little bit deeper into this. What happens is one of the Hebrew words used to describe what people know as Satan, the devil, the evil part, equals a number value 364. This day, when we switch over the year, there is no accusation. Nobody can show up to accuse you. You are before the court and between you and the judge. So what's your witness against you? 365 days of the year of what you've done, what you haven't done. This is a great opportunity for you to show up and say, Your Honor, I present to you all the things I did last year. And the reality is, okay. And then the honor says, well, how do you plead? Well, I plead guilty because I didn't accomplish what I wanted. That's past. But now, Your Honor, as I lay myself before the mercies of the courts of heaven, I also submit a secondary document. And this document is how I am going to do the next year. Without me accusing me, without an accusation, without anybody telling me how much I suck and everything else, without the guilt of my family and the traditional and all the family curses, ancestral, blah, 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 trauma, drama. I submit to you that what I want to do is I want to help people. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I am doing all of this. I'm committing to doing all of these things. And here is all the things that I'm going to do. And now what I ask the courts is only one thing, that you support me in this process and that you give me all the things that I cannot produce, but I will do everything in my power. I have just rewritten my life story on this day. And I said, this is my commitment to how I am going to show up in such a way that I am going to have dominion over chaos and not chaos have dominion over me.
Nice.
That's the whole story.
And so is this an annual process that happens every 365 days where you go through that reflection on the previous year as well as setting yourself up for your actions, what you're going to do in the coming year? And is this something that we all do on maybe like a soul level without our conscious mind?
Beautiful.
Or is this something that certain individuals who are kind of on this path participate in? And
look, you are so on it, man. There's such beautiful questions, and the answer is, this is something that happens every year. It's a cycle. Okay, the stars and in everything lines up for all the world, but it also lines up for the day that you were born. On your birthday, there's another opening, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And these things line up because you have certain powers. They are not there to rule you, you are there to rule them. They're just simply saying,
Mm-hmm.
anytime you want to take control, let me know and I will serve you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So, yes, it's cyclical every year. Is it for everybody? Yes. Does it affect everybody? 100%. And so, what happens is there are holidays called holidays that the government establishes based on whatever it is that they want to accomplish and the way they want to affect your mind and control your heart and your soul. Okay. The ones that we're practicing is how to take insight inventory so that you can show up in a better way. So,
Mm-hmm.
because of all of creation, was it at attention on the day that we call Yom Kippur or the day of creation. It's known in the modern language as Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah. Okay, Rosh means head. Ha is the Shana season, head of the season.
Okay.
Okay, so we've arrived at the head of the season, and now I need to take my head, the seven holes in my head, in the skull, and be able to control and have rulership over all these things. How we do this is from that point on, we have 7 festivals or celebrations and ceremonies that we practice throughout the year, 3 in the spring, 3 in the fall, and 1 in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
to remind ourselves that this is what we're doing. So you see how it continues to break down in 7 different patterns.
That's so funny that you mentioned the seven, which we had referred to earlier in the conversation, because a moment ago you mentioned that there's another cycle that opens up on her birthday, and my birthday's coming up in like a month and 2 days, and it's it's the end of a 7-year cycle. I'm turning 28, of course, and and uh, and it was honestly it was a lot of trials and tribulations over this last year. And then when I think about like the year before the end of a chunk of 7 years, like when I turned 21 or 28, like the year before that was like a hard year. And so I'm kind of like getting older is kind of hard to deal with, but I'm also excited because I feel like it's going to be a new era, and I'm going to experience new energy, new ease and flow. I'm hoping things level up, and um, can you speak on that?
I
Like
can,
what
I
happens
can,
with the birthday and the
absolutely.
7-year cycles?
Every 7 years, 100% of all your cells get replaced. Not some, 100. Your
Mm-hmm.
brain cells, the science used to say, oh, the brain doesn't change. You know why? Because they didn't have the deeper understanding. But the sages of Kabbalah have already known this, that every 7 years, you have a 100% replacement. You are going to be 7 times 4. There are 4.
Well, no, I'm joking. I'm much older than that. I'm much older. Yeah,
I thought you
yeah.
said 28.
I did. I was joking. No, I'm. Yeah.
But okay, so but let's take that. Let's take that example. You are 4 times 7.
Okay.
There is a circle, whether you want to think it's a disc or a globe, I don't care. I'm not arguing that. That
Mm-hmm.
that has 4 directions: east, west, north, and south. 4.
Mm-hmm.
So you have been struggling to expand yourself to fill your world in all directions. When you get to 28, you are now going into your 5th year.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so now that'll be ends when you're 35, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something happens to a man and to women, because I have researchers, I've asked people, I've interviewed people for last 30 years. Everybody, when you reach the marker is approximately 30, 2 years before, some years after. But when you get to age of 30, you think differently because you have entered into the fifth dimension of your existence. And by entering into the fifth dimension of your existence, you are now fully equipped to show up with the power of a ruler.
Nice.
Okay? You've heard me talk about the 5 archetypes of man. And that's the 5th year is your kingdom.
Beautiful. And for the listeners, and also for myself as a refresher, can you remind us what are the different archetypes?
Absolutely. So starting from the one where we're at, and working our way down, the first archetype is the Majesty or the Sovereign. I love to say Sovereign because it has a totally different reign. The word Sovereign means sole reign.
Nice.
Okay?
I love that word because freedom to me, that means freedom.
Yes. A sovereign never asks permission. A sovereign operates. Right? A slave has to ask permission. So if you're sitting there questioning and wondering your direction, it means you don't have these 5 archetypes lined up in your life because you don't know what to do. You don't have enough clarity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we go down to the next one. It's the priest or the monk. And the monk speaks to God, but you see the sovereign hears God.
Okay, so the monk is communicating from him to God, but maybe it's not
Right.
It's not a two-way street. But then the sovereign is actually able to listen and hear.
Yes.
Wow.
So they need each other because the sovereign that gets deviated from his energy and he gives too much to chaos, he will become a dictator.
Yeah.
The priest who gets out, or the monk who gets out of line, he becomes dogmatic religious approach.
Yes, we see that with people. Yeah.
Yes.
And of course the dictators too, these people that, imagine you lead a revolution and then you've got your own island of a few million people and you do whatever you want. And
Jim
you hear
Jones,
stories about the way these people live.
Right.
Yeah.
Jim Jones was a very perfect example of that. He took all these people to Ghana, South America, and he poisoned them all with Kool-Aid. So when people say, have you taken the Kool-Aid? They're talking about Jim Jones. And this happened in this, I think it was either the late 70s or the 80s.
Yeah, or maybe even the early 90s.
I don't know when it happened.
I'm not sure.
I remember I was a kid when it happened.
Okay. So probably I'm incorrect. But I remember because I think Halley's Comet was flying by or something like that. And so the idea was all their souls were going to hop on Halley's Comet.
You see, because a real, true, essential man in humans, we all respect each other's sovereignty. We're not trying to rule over each other.
Yeah, it's so petty and immature with these people. They feel like they need to exert something over other people, kind of like a dog humping your leg. It drives me crazy, but that's just where some people are at in their understanding.
Exactly.
Is it noisy? Can you hear? Is there a lot of noise coming through? Because this truck just pulled up outside.
No, I can hear it, but it's not distracting, and I can hear your words quite.
Okay, we'll just keep going then.
Yeah. But if it's distracting you, you can go ahead and close the window. That's fine.
Well, the truth is, I kind of want to buy water from them, but I'll let it go because it's like the water truck comes around like twice.
I'll keep talking.
No, whatever. This is important. It's showtime.
Yeah, it is. So we're at the monk, but a properly balanced monk will serve the king and be loyal to the king's mission, and never give him bad advice. They're all inside of you, okay? So the purpose of the monk is to be disciplined enough to hear what the needs of the people are, and be able to bring it to the king, to the sovereign, and say, the people's need are this. So then we have to ask, well, what are the people, right?
Well, it's interesting that that's the monk's role, because I would not have thought of if you had asked me of the archetypes, which one is in touch with the people, I would not have guessed the monk. But I suppose the monk is dealing with kind of their spiritual lives, maybe through a temple environment or something like that. So they have that relationship there.
And the reason why these are mine, by the way, this is not somebody else's teaching. This is what I've absorbed
This is
over
your stuff. Gotcha.
this is my stuff over doing research and study of all these different books over 20, more than 20 years of my own personal research, a lifetime of learning what this thing called Kabbalah is. So I'm giving you what I believe are the 5 archetypes, because I have resonance with the number 5, because it's repeated throughout the Bible. So just to add another piece, and then we'll come back to the archetypes. Why 5? Because when Abram was going to rescue his adopted nephew Lot, that's a story in the Bible. It says in the Hebrew, no other language, okay? It says, and the men of Abraham were 5th. What kind of language is that? That makes no sense.
That's the whole. They don't explain what they mean by 5th.
Exactly. It doesn't explain it, because what Torah is saying is you need to look into that and find out what that means.
It's kind of drop. What's the word? Dropping you a bone or tossing you a bone to like. Okay.
Here it is. Pay attention. Look at this. Okay. That language appears again when the children of Israel were ready to leave Egypt. They were 5th. You're like, what does that mean, 5th?
Yeah.
Right? You're like, okay, so now let's take a look at them. And just from reasoning alone, the men of Abraham were 5th, and Abraham had a servant whose name was Eliezer. The word Eliezer means God's help. So did Abraham have 318 men ready to war that were 5th? Or what does or did he have the help of God, which made him have the power to be able to overcome the situation? All of Israel was ready to leave Egypt, and they were 5th. They stood as an army ready to leave. In both situations, there is a battle to be had. And in both situations, is the cliffhanger just before you start. Did you catch that? You are fully committed, convinced, and ready to do what you must do. So now it has a different meaning to the word 5th.
So 5th is that state of readiness, ready to take action.
Yeah.
Nice.
To add another accent to what you just said, there's a guy named Moses who is the leader who takes them all out, and he sits there as, let's call him an entrepreneur, online leader who's got a mass following of 6 million people, okay? And he's sitting there every day trying to serve the people the best that he can, and he's just sweating, bullets. Because, okay, what's your problem? Okay, next. Okay, next. All day long. And his father-in-law says, hey, Mo, what you doing?
Hey, Mo.
He's like, I'm doing my job, man. I'm taking care of the people here. What's up? And he's like, can I say something to you? He says, why don't you 5th the people? Make divisions of 5. So that you have 5 captains, and then you have 10 this and 10 leaders and 100, and all divisions of 5, multiples of 5. And if those people can't solve it, the 500 leaders can. The leaders that lead 500 people, they bring it up to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. And the last 5, if they can't solve it, then they bring it to you. You can then deal with the things that God wants you to do. You become the sovereign, and now you're receiving from God, and everybody else is filtering it. What do you think, Mo? It's like, that sounds like a great idea. Why didn't I think about that?
Mm-hmm.
See, you're red.
And so is that sort of infusing that energy throughout the whole
Woo!
organization?
Bro, that's it. That's it.
Nice.
So that's why 5 archetypes, not 4, not 3, not 1. 5, because
There's
it
that
has
5
all
again.
that
Yeah.
resonance through it.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we go now to the third one. Okay. The third one is a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the warrior, and the good thing about the warrior, is that he's the warrior. Is your engine by which you would power all the rest of the kingdom. Without the warrior, look, in any generation, listen to me now. This is for everybody. In every generation, if you eliminate the warriors, the people that defend and protect and are willing to die and kill, you will destroy that whole empire. You will destroy that whole generation. That's how powerful the warrior is. It keeps the king in check. It keeps the priest in check. Okay, and it keeps everybody in check. The problem with the warrior is that when he's out of position and he's in chaos, all he wants to do is war, and he will kill everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He will
And we've
kill.
seen that so much in human history is a bloodbath. It's just crazy.
Exactly, and this is why. You know why? Because the warrior is out of place. In human nature, we need to come back to this place where we put these archetypes, because it's fractal. You can apply it to yourself, you can apply it to society, you can apply it to the world, but you cannot execute them until you have done it for yourself first.
Because we all have all of them within us as an individual, kind of a
Right.
microcosm of the group,
if
society, or whatever.
if you don't take enough personal responsibility to take care of the macrocosm will reflect back the crap that's going on inside of you.
Yeah, totally.
Right, that's the responsibility of manhood, and that's why I talk, and I help, entrepreneurs, but I specifically want to help men, because we are the ones that have that natural leadership and um, uh, I don't know what word to use. We have that inner drive to protect and to serve. But our service, when you're out of balance, gets abused by manipulative people. And if you have a kind of bad woman in your life, she will manipulate you for her own purposes, because she's trying to teach you a lesson that you are not in line with yourself.
Oh yeah, it's so true. I mean, it's like that desire to serve and help and be generous, to really calibrate that correctly
Yeah,
can be a
yeah,
challenge. Like, it's so, in my life, I've helped the wrong people, and
yeah,
people have come to me asking help, and I thought they were lying to me, and then it turns out they were telling the truth. And then I've had other people trick me, and they come to me and they ask me for help, and then it turns out they're just scamming me, and
bro.
and everything. And then sometimes it's like, I don't, something kind of confronts me, and I don't know if I should be aggressive towards it or just move away from it, or it's really difficult to understand what's the appropriate way to deal with these dynamics.
And this is gonna sound boisterous or maybe even pompous, but when you get these 5 archetypes in proper order, in hierarchy, and in balance with one another, like we were talking about the works of chaos, tohu vabohu, the good and the bad, and bring it into proper level, you no longer question yourself. You know with clarity who you're supposed to connect to. You don't know it ahead of time, but you feel the energy and things naturally progress. And so you trust but verify, and you work together, because people don't do what people don't do what you expect. People do what you inspect. There's a big difference in between the two.
People don't do what you expect, people do what you inspect. Man,
Yes.
that is very evocative and interesting, and I don't know what that means though, but it's
That's pretty.
interesting. It makes me think.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
point, right? We want, see, if you are not in a creative position, then what are you? Just take the,
I mean, to me, creativity is everything. It's the vitality of life,
okay.
and it
Let me
comes in
tell
so
you,
many forms.
right. So now let's take a look at the ugly side of that. If I am not in a creative position, I am a zombie.
Yeah,
I am the living
exactly.
dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Entertainment, listen to this word. Entertainment is can also be used from a different position. To amuse somebody is to
Hmm.
entertain them. Yes?
Hmm.
That comes from the Greek word, which the English is developed from the Roman Greco Empire. Muse, right? Take the word, the letter A away from it, and it's muse.
Hmm.
The word muse means to think deeply, to meditate.
Mm,
The word,
okay.
the letter A causes it a cancellation, like the word anti.
Wow.
You no longer
Oh
feel,
yeah, because amuse is sort of it implies it's trivial. Like
yes,
it's the almost the lowest form of like stimulation. Like when we're appreciating art or something, it's not amusing us. It's what would be a better word? Like it's astounding us or something. But amusing is maybe like a silly sitcom or something.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
What happened to Rome is that they went into amusing people rather than to musing them. And so they
yeah,
gave them bread and they gave them the entertainment of blood sports.
yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
We're seeing that in modern day in a lot of forms. Like there's some really low grade spectacles for
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you see how this applies to a kingdom? It also applies to a nation, but it has to first apply to us.
Hmm.
So now that's the warrior. Let's go down to the next one, okay, which is the alchemist. So who's an
Hmm.
alchemist? The word alchemy is we derive the word chemistry from.
Hmm.
But an alchemist, in this case, the word al in front of chemistry is
Hmm.
no longer anti, but it means el, as in God, domain, judge, ruler. Okay,
Hmm.
so you'll hear this a lot in the Arabic language where they say al.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. True. Just from the little bits I've heard of Al this and the
Yes,
names Al are always Al Qaeda stuff like
yes,
that.
yes. And so it's a preposition to tell you a story. And in the Hebrew, the word el, not al, el means towards the divinity.
Hmm.
Okay? So, chemistry towards the divinity, we become not a magician who has cheap tricks, but one who takes lead, turns it into gold. And they call that the alchemists were after the diviner stone and all this other stuff. That's all folklore. The secret hidden behind the alchemy is, can I as a father, create such a moment out of nothing? I don't need money, but can I create a moment so divine that my children speak of it for the rest of their days,
Wow, I
even
love
when I
that.
pass away? Can
Creating a
my
moment. Yeah.
right? Can my woman look at me and just melt because she's like, this guy is always tripping me in the best way, and he just makes me feel so comfortable around him because I'm an alchemist. I'll take the smallest thing and say, here's a ring I want to give you. And even though we're married and I may have already bought her this expensive ring or not, but I give her a ring made out of flowers, and I say, can I put it on your hand? And she'll remember that. And so every time I bring her flowers, she goes, oh my God, that's
Beautiful.
alchemy. That's what
That's
I'm
what
talking
life is about. It's about creating magic moments. Yeah, and I want to create magic moments every single day,
about. Yes.
ideally every moment. Creating
Look,
the richness in every moment.
yes, it's not just for somebody else, but that's good. I created such a beautiful moment. Um, I went surfing and we were talking, right? I took a break from surfing to talk this week.
I remember.
So I went in the most at the lake. It was the most perfect scenario. Okay. For those of you that know about surfing, it was an offshore wind, which takes the wind comes from the sand and hits the wave and it picks it up and it makes it rounder. So when it breaks over, it's nice and crisp and it's the best kind of wave, right? It would be the same as a skateboarder in a half pipe being able to roll. So these waves were excellent. There was nobody else in the beach. It was just me. I had two boards and I could just trade. And the weather was perfect. We are in the fall of Wisconsin where things get really cold. The water was incredibly warm and it was raining and it was just so perfect. And I just sat there and I'm telling you, tears started to come out of my eyes because I'm thinking, I'm the only one surfing. There's all kinds of people that have jobs and they make all kinds of hundreds of thousands of money and they can't break away to be here. And I know them. But as a mentor and a guide, I get to choose who I get to connect. I don't have to, I'm not a slave working for somebody else in a golden cage.
Yeah.
I'm a sovereign. I'm free. I did my work in the morning, and when I was done, hopped in my car and went. See, that's a magical moment. And I felt like a 17-year-old. It was so trippy. It was so ideal that my brain started to look into the water, thinking that there was sharks, that there was other things that I have to look for when I'm in the ocean. I'm like, stop it. I just laughed at myself. The environment was so magical. I'm fasting. I've been fasting for 10 days. Okay. So I went in the water and I had so much energy. I surfed for almost 3 hours.
That's a long time.
I walked out and I was like a drunk. My legs could not support me anymore. You get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm saying you have to create magical moments that feed your soul.
Absolutely. And you know what is coming to mind right now, and this is something I've been thinking about a lot lately, is that throughout life there have been ups and downs, and there have been moments of stress and fear and doubt and concern. And I'm just at a point where I'm just over that. Even when things are not maybe going perfectly or the way I would hope they're going, I can choose to just feel joy in this moment, no matter where I'm at. Like, nobody can take that away from me, and I don't want to do anything else other than just be happy and content, no matter what the external circumstances are. I'm gonna feel alive and inspired, and a lot of things I can't control, like if there's a contraction in my business or whatever, I could get stressed out. But no, nobody can take away the fact that even if I'm sick or something, I'm still going to feel that joy, and I'm going to keep feeling more and more and more of it and feel more inspired. So,
man, you are so firing on all cylinders. A contraction is when you take a seed and you drop it into the dirt. It's covered under the shit that we were talking about, right? The dirt and the pressure of being obscure initiates something new inside that seed. And that seed finds a way to work its up to the sun, and it becomes a tree. And here we go again. Here's the next cycle, right? And then tree grows and it provides shade and seed and leaves. Every contraction in your business is you getting ready to go to the next level. But in the spiritual realm, in the metaphysical realm, these things happen a lot quicker. You don't have to wait 5 years to get them. If you do it right, you get the thing immediately. And this is the difference between manifestation and no manifestation.
Yeah, because we're in kind of this dimension of time and space, whereas the other levels of existence, they don't operate like that. So things can be instant. And I was having a message conversation with a friend the other day, and he goes, he was talking about like ancestral medicines. He smokes this stuff from a tree. I forget what it's called. It's got some exotic name, and he was saying how the healing happens in the darkness. It doesn't happen in the light. And so he was contrasting this ancestral medicine to Bufal varius, which is a very powerful psychedelic that comes from a frog. And he was saying, well, when I smoke that, I move into the light, and it's blissful and glorious, but I don't overcome my blockages. Whereas when I smoke this stuff, I move into the darkness, and then I'm more free afterwards. And it's like when we're going through a difficult chapter, a difficult season in our life, and there's a lot of adversity, we can remember that we're like that seed in the earth, and that it means that we're making major progress, and just to keep going, what's the word, like keep course.
Yes, keep the course. Stay in your lane, as they say, right? And let me address that a little bit, if I may. You see, those are obvious mechanical doors to open the spiritual realm. That's what medicine is. That's what taking something, and there's nothing wrong with it if you know that what you're doing is opening a mechanical door. What happens when that? It's like having a thief who knows how to unlock doors. He just doesn't know what's on the other side. He might like it. He may not like it. Okay. So let me bring that into balance. If I take consistent medication and it becomes my crutch to rise to the light, without any sunglasses and without any control, I am always light. And now when I have need to grow roots, I'm too high to grow my roots, and I'm not stable. I'm a little bit off, and I can fall really easy. And this is what happens in nature to trees that grow really fast. They die really fast too,
because they don't have that strong root structure to support them.
Right. A pine tree, which is like an arrow, has the same equal root system in the earth. That's why they're called evergreen.
And it's interesting that the roots are literally in darkness. There is no light down there. And we use that as a metaphor, the light and the dark, but above ground is literally in the light, and below ground is literally in the dark, and it's growing in both ways, and they're supporting.
Correct. I wish we had more time to talk about what happens in that and what's happening sideways. I apologize if you can hear the noise of the printer.
Yeah. Are you printing something?
Not me.
Just something popped out. Oh, okay. So yeah. No, it's not a big deal. It's like the truck that pulled by.
Right.
We're live.
Yes, we are. And we're living life. And so now we've talked about the alchemist. An alchemist that's out of control becomes a magician. A magician or an alchemist out of control is a cheap trick trying to amuse somebody. Let me think for you. Oh, this thing about I'll do it for you, done for you. That's all magic. I don't want to do something for you. I want to do something with you.
It also makes me think of something that dazzles you, and it impacts you. It makes a big impression on you, but it's lacking in substance.
Right. Gold dust.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's it.
That's the alchemist out of control. They become that sort of illusionist magician.
Correct.
I'm feeling that. Yeah.
The last one is the lover. Okay. The lover out of control in chaos is that thing that has compassion for everybody but doesn't have any discernment. That's the one that picks up the puppies that are diseased, and then his whole house gets full of fleas, right? That's the one that picks up any damsel in distress to help her, and she cleans him out of everything, right?
This sounds familiar. I've gone through my phases like this, big time, and I got taken advantage of like crazy, but I made it through. But I look back and I go, oh my God, what was I thinking? But no regrets. I've got rich memories, like when I was living in Colombia, and
Yeah.
giving away money and people lying to me, and I got robbed and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
And you know what? For those that want a key, it's always in the eyes. If we're talking about a girl, when you see crazy, it's super attractive, a crazy girl, you'll see it in her eyes. Run
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, that borderline, the allure of the borderline, it's irresistible.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. And so the lover out of control becomes entitled. The lover out of control becomes a liberal that everybody has to win. Everybody has a trophy. We
Mhm.
can't have any losses. The
Mhm.
lover out of control is lazy and fat.
Yeah.
Okay. He needs the warrior in his life.
I feel like that character, it's summertime and they're eating all the food, and then fall comes around and it's winter and they haven't done any preparation, and then they're screwed.
That's right. That's right. The lover in proper balance and has the control of chaos, he imbues all the other archetypes with divine love so that the alchemist never becomes a magician. And he gives out of giving people the power to become a sovereign. He makes the warrior to be the constant servant who will spend time meditating and processing and honing his skills to become better every time. He will make the priest compassionate and humble so that he doesn't overstep his boundaries and things that he's heard from God when it is the job of the sovereign to do so. He will take the king and he will make him so compassionate that the king will come off of his throne and he will walk among his own people, secretly hiding his own identity to find out how he may better serve them.
Yeah, it's such that lover element is such an essential flavor to the big picture. That it enriches life. And
Right,
without that, it
right.
becomes pretty boring. Yeah.
But a lover, a man out of control being a lover, he wants to always please his woman and she loses respect for him.
Uh-huh.
You
That
see
makes
that?
sense. Yeah.
That's why you need them to be in proper hierarchy. You take the warrior and you put him in the middle so that he's sandwiched by two above him, sandwiched by two below him. So he
Okay,
has
so from top to bottom, how do they stack up?
top to bottom. Top is the sovereign. Then comes the monk. In the middle is the warrior. Next comes the alchemist. And then at the bottom is the lover.
Okay, nice.
Boom, 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 boom. Right?
Hmm.
So we have two below, two above, one in the middle to keep the energy being able to be spread and balanced in both directions.
Hmm.
The warrior is the earth, the middle earth, and everything
Hmm.
above him is spiritual. Everything below him is carnal towards
Hmm.
roots,
Hmm.
right? So you start seeing the connection, and you cannot have roots that continually to absorb water and nutrition because they rot themselves and the tree falls over.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the lover needs discipline. He needs to learn control and he needs to learn vision that comes from the king, right? And the discipline comes from the warrior so that when he's loving his woman, when he's loving his lady and his children, he says, I love to do all those things, but now I got to take care of me. I got to go do this for the sake of all of us because this is my calling. He stays in shape, not because he wants to look good, not because he's a pickup artist, because he's here for the long run. He wants to get to at least 70 years of age. He wants to be that multiple of 7 times 10.
Minimum. I mean, I'm going for 105.
And I'm going for
That's my goal.
120. right?
Yeah. Or
So
would it be, what would it be, 119 when we're talking about like multiples of 7? Would it be, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, we're,
right.
yeah.
So after 70, you've done it 10 times. Okay.
Yeah.
That's 5 times 2. That's the left side of the tree of life. The left side of the body is the receiving side. The right side is the giving side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so now you got female energy, masculine energy come together to become one. You seeing this? So now 5 plus 5 or 5 times 2 become a perfect image of what we see and what we think God should be. After that, you get to enjoy the rest of your life. If you're sorry about that.
No worries. Do you get something coming in on your cell phone?
Daniel, te llamo ahorita, ¿ok? Dame un par de minutos. Hello. Mira, eh, estoy casi terminando una reunión, te llamo ahorita, ¿ok? Gracias. Okay.
I'm proud to say that I understood all of that. It's really coming along, my Spanish. But anyway, where were we? We were, you were talking about bringing 5 back into, yeah.
So bringing this 5 is if you take a bowl and it's really big and it's the world's problems, it's everything, and you put pressure on one side and you put pressure on the other side from your hands, right? It's a bowl, so you can't grab it. Putting pressure on both sides is what is known as opposite against. This hand is opposite against this one, and it's against each other for the purpose of goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? 10 is judgment. This is time and space. Okay? So now when you find a woman who's 5th and a man who's 5th, you have the perfect image of all that we think of God come together. And in the Hebrew language, it says that when God showed to Adam the woman, he said, "This is your ezer genegdo." Those words directly translated have nothing to do with being helpmate. It means opposite against. Ezer, against, okay? Genegdo, right? A power on its own kind.
Mm-hmm.
So the world is sustained by the polarity of both of us being completely 5th in our own rights.
Mm-hmm. There's that balance on both sides. Yeah. That concept's a little bit harder for me to understand at the end there, but I'm going to continue to ponder that. So I typically go for about 45 minutes to an hour, but it just flows so beautifully with you. We're almost at an hour, which is awesome. And so I want to kind of shift into, I guess, just kind of a little bit more information about you as a person and kind of some projects you've got going on that you want people to know about.
Thank you. Little bit quick information about me. Look, in my early 30s, right, when I switched it over into the 5th level, I became paralyzed from the neck down due to a horse-related accident. I was, making all kinds of money, right? I had everything. I had a Porsche, a truck, a house, farm, 13 horses. I was a professional boxer, a professional soldier, a professional entrepreneur. I had it all. And when I became paralyzed, all of it disappeared. My wife left me. It just gets ugly from there on out, okay? And over the next 25 years, it took me a long time to recover. And from there, I have drawn a lot of the things that I'm sharing with you. So it took me 4 years to be able to walk on my own 2 feet again. And it took me another 21 years, right? 3 times 7, it took me 21 years to get my head right and to get my soul right. And that was that story. But now I am working on October 9th. I have a presentation is how to tell your story from such a point that it's like a movie. And when you say your story like a movie, and you don't have to have my experiences to tell your story. Only
We all have
you can
stories.
tell it. You
Yeah.
all have stories, and you can only tell your story like you, right?
Mhm.
Because you're the only one that knows it. But you have to eliminate the shame, you have to eliminate the guilt, and you have to eliminate the resentment about you
Mhm.
that you
Mhm.
hold against yourself. That's why I talked about this judgment. And so that's happening October at Central Time, same time as you and I, for those of you that are in Mexico, at 6 p.m., October 9th.
Mhm. October
And
9th, 6 p.m. Central Time. Mhm.
yes. So therefore, that's one thing. The other project that I'm working on, which I'm really proud of this, and I've been, you and I are talking about this. This is all in the raw. Is a much bigger project where we're going to help a lot of men connect to these fifth things that we're talking about. We're going to create an environment, and it starts by doing an anthology book, which is other authors invited into talking about these things from their own perspective. It's not my story, it's our story. And what
Yeah, I
I
love that.
right now, somebody dropped in a dime that I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. And it's called Conversations with My Brothers.
Oh,
I'm like, oh
cool.
my God,
It's
that
good.
is,
It's
that
really
feels
good. It's
good,
it's
right?
iconic. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the project that we just launched this week. Along with that is in March of 2025. You don't want to miss this. This is going to be such an incredible event, right? And I want to tell everybody that uh, I got some really special people that are working with me in the background, in the forefront. Um, may I share?
Yeah, please.
See, um, for those of you that don't know, I just definitely can't do this on my own, and because of that, I've asked Justin to help me with this project. There's going to be at least 4 days where you're going to learn so much about who you are. You're going to meet yourself from a deeper place like you've never met yourself before, and we're going to have so much fun. I mean, we could be riding horses that are horses that there's no up and down bounds on the shores of Puerto Rico. We could be going to a place where the water glows at night and you can kayak in it. You're going to see the difference in between a dancer who speaks to the drums and back and forth. Self-defense, you're going to learn how to dance salsa, merengue, tango. Look, we have so much in this presentation that what's about to happen is you see that I'm living, right? So
That was awesome.
this is something that's so beautiful. It works for couples perfectly, right?
Mhm.
Because we're going to have sessions for women, we're going to have sessions for men so that we can both get fifth, but it's also going to have together. And if you're a single guy, another man, the guy that shared that with me, he said this, who's going through a divorce, he says, I said, yeah, we're going to share it, and it's going to be for men and for couples. He says, you see, a man, wherever he goes, he's always dragging something, and he's always got his mind as a lover thinking of her. So where pickup artists drop off and pickup artistry sucks, this is where we pick up. We're going to
Mhm.
teach you how to truly be that lover, where you can be the consummate lover and change her life and change your life so that she wants to be in your leadership. She wants to be a part
Mhm.
of your vision and of your life. That's what we're doing. Those are the projects that I'm
That
working
that
on.
that's awesome because this whole love, sex, romance, men relating to women in that masculine to feminine dynamic, it's such a big part of life, and it's everything, and there's such a desire and a thirst for evolution and growth with that stuff, and the pickup artist stuff, that's kindergarten stuff, and it's sort of taken some steps in the direction of cultivate implementing a process of cultivating and evolving in an attempt to kind of make some headways, but this is next level stuff. And being in Puerto Rico sounds so incredible. I live in Latin America. The energy, the vibe here is, I feel so alive here, but I've never been to Puerto Rico. That sounds like an incredible place.
I know this is your show, but tell the people, for you, what is it to be experiencing the Latin flavor in, right? So as an outsider coming in, what is it that you love about it?
Man, thanks for asking that. That's hard to ask, or hard to answer. But I will say that I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. Like, I'm committed. This is I'm alive here. For one thing, I'm in the same reality as the people around me. Like our essential understanding of what it means to be alive, the magic of the moment, the synchronicity, the way it works. It's like we have this shared understanding that is like, where I come from is different, and just the warmth, the vibe, the aliveness, the struggle too, because it's sort of a paradox where the struggle to live is intense here. The poverty, the scarcity, and because of that, there are people that are creating those magic moments on such a level. Like, like, there's people, they have nothing, but when it's time to party, they party, they celebrate, and like they're dancing, and they're cranking up the music, and they're singing, and
Right.
it's awesome, and
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for saying that. You see, because consumerism is what perverts the thing that you're discussing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me explain that real quick. When you look from a consumerism position, you go, those people have nothing, but they can celebrate at this level. From the eyes of consumerism, that sounds right. But when you see that these people can live without shoes, having a hut in mud, and living such a connected to nature life, then you realize that the real rich people are those who learn to live in conjunction and in harmony with nature and the things. And so celebration is at the highest level because you're already living at the highest level. And that's what gets missed with people that think that having possessions is the trick. See, every possession that you have takes away from your soul, and it possesses you because it takes anxiety, more anxiety. What if, what if, what if, what if? But when you see, I've lost it all, not once, but several times. I've been in a condition where my neck got messed up 3 times, not once. So I had to learn the lesson over and over and over again. And what it is to be in Latin America is that the spirit of a people is its culture, right? So when I meet you in Latin America, I pull you in, and I don't pull you in softly like Americans do. Oh, hi, right? It's bam, I hit you with my shoulder, right? And man, right? And I squeeze you like, hey, how you doing, bro? That's not me trying to be macho. That's me saying, I love you so much. I want to give you some of my intensity. Slap hands really hard, and I pull you in. I'm like, hey, man, I look at you right here. Hey, how you doing, brother? I haven't seen you in a while. Even if I saw you yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you approach a woman or a girl, you kiss her softly on the forehead or on the cheek. And you say, hey, love, how you doing today? You're so beautiful and you're so smart. It's so nice to see you. Thank you for allowing me the grace to be in your presence. You see, that's a different kind of language.
Oh yeah, and that's being lost in some. And I don't want to criticize. Like, I actually push back when people start saying bad things about North Americans. I say, no, I've met so many wonderful Americans, but there's a richness
Right. But
going
you
on.
see, the Americans that we see today and most of Latin America that we see today are stuck in consumerism. Because let me tell you something. Today, this is not a political tap, but listen to what I'm about to tell you. John Quincy Adams was one of the earliest founders of America, and before his father was a president, he became, a president eventually. But when he was 11, he was sent as as a translator of an American ambassador to Russia on a ship to translate for this man at 11 years of age.
Wow. Crazy.
The Chinese, this is current information. The Chinese representative, whatever you want to call that man that's in charge of China, apparently came, I just heard about it, so I don't know how true this is, came to see President, former President Trump. Okay. One of President Trump's grandchild is 11 years old, welcomes him and speaks clear Cantonese to this man with all the proper mannerism. That man said he was so impressed with an 11-year-old. With an 11-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
What's my point? My point is that when you reach into a higher level of who you are as a being, and you learn different languages, and you understand the energy behind that, you become a highest level of being a man, of being a human being. And this is what all of these projects are about. John Quincy Adams didn't have the technology that we have today, but it happened. So many years later, we still have the capacity. Okay, Chinese people can speak English. What's our problem? Let's not judge us by saying Americans are this and Latinos are that. Let's see that we're all humans. We all have the capacity. And I just gave you two proofs, hundreds of years apart. It's still possible.
Absolutely. Okay, brother. Thank you so much for that incredible download of esoteric wisdom. I feel so filled with inspiration and fresh energy and fresh ideas from talking to you. So thank you very much. And I'll tag you in the recording of this. I'm going to upload it to YouTube. And so, yeah, if anybody wants to reach out to you, like, obviously they can click your name on the recording. And is there any other place that's a good place to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I can, after this recording, send you my link tree, and all my little places where they can get a hold of me is there, right? Because there's a couple of Hector Britos, but my page, right, my page, and you'll see it says Legacy Leaders, right? Because that's what we are. That's what we're doing. That's how we're changing life. We're not trying to leave a legacy. We're trying to live our own legacy.
Living our legacies. Amen. Okay, so we'll leave it there. So cheers.
Cheers. All right, brother.